Hello, I'm Lilia Rivera, President of the Filipino Fiesta of Sacramento. Our community has been celebrating the anniversary of the Philippine Independence Day for over 40 years now, every first Sunday in June. The steering committee picks a theme for the celebration by honoring a person or group for their outstanding achievement and services to the community. Due to restrictions from COVID-19, the steering committee decided to continue bringing together families and friends to the groups of the community by the use of social media. 3 weekly events are scheduled prior to June 6. They are all related to the theme selected, a Harana Honoring Healthcare Heroes. May 16 is a movie showing of Harana. May 23, a showcase for Filipino arts and Filipino artists. May 30, we pay tribute to our frontline workers with a documentary of the history of Filipino nurses. Then on June 6, an award ceremony will be at Jose Rizal Center for the heroes selected to represent different workplaces and various professions in caregiving for COVID-19. On behalf of the Filipino Fiesta Steering Committee, I express our deepest appreciation and thanks to our community partners for their sponsorships. They are SMAD, Kaiser, the California Mentor, Seafood City, Islon Memorial Park, and Crossings TV. Maraming salamat po.
Hello! Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. My name is Dick Mazon, President of the Filipino Community of Sacramento and vicinity. Welcome to our third and last series of presentations before our fiesta that will be on June 6th at the Jose Rizal Community Center from 10 to 12. The 2-hour program will honor our Filipino nurses and frontline workers. But tonight, this will be basically information about Filipino nurses in the U.S. This program will be in 3 parts. First part will be an overview of Filipino nurses presented by Daisy Rodriguez. The second part will be a video provided by the UC Davis School of Nursing. I have to give a shout out to Edgar, who was able to acquire this video for us. And the third, and not least, is our 2 nurses in Sacramento, Donna and Ronaviv, that will talk about their experience with COVID. I hope you enjoy the program and find it very educational. We'll see you at the Filipino Fiesta, June 6, from 10 to 12. Paalam!
Hello everyone, my name is Daisy Rodriguez. I'm a professional nurse and educator. I am now a resident of Sacramento County after I have moved to Elk Grove from the Bay Area. In my over 5 decades in the nursing profession, I have seen the evolution of nursing practice and healthcare in the United States when I came to this country in 1965, so I've been a nurse for quite a long time. It is my privilege to speak about my fellow nurses, the new frontline heroes in this critical time in the history of the United States and the world, the coronavirus pandemic. I would like to particularly highlight the critical role that Filipino nurses have played in healthcare, not only in the United States, but also in global health. To speak of the Filipino nurses' contribution in this short video does not really do justice to the immense difference Filipino nurses have made wherever they are in the world. Perhaps not many of you know how Filipino nurses came to the United States and spread all over the world. To date, there are approximately 200,000 Filipino nurses practicing in the United States. Their immigration history dates back in the early 1900s, with the U.S. colonization of the Philippines, and due to a series of U.S. immigration policies, resulted in drawing Filipino nurses already trained in U.S.-style nursing curriculum to alleviate shortage of nursing workforce in the United States. Many hospitals, particularly in cities in the East Coast and the Midwestern states like New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Chicago, Texas, and Florida, were experiencing severe nursing shortages that they had to resort to recruiting nurses from foreign countries. The expanding population in the United States, exacerbated by the rapidly growing elderly population, led to critical shortages not only in acute hospitals, but also in nursing homes and other community-based facilities. The largest number of foreign-born nurses came from the Philippines simply because they were trained in the American style of nursing, besides their facility in the English language. It is fair to say that without Filipino nurses to staff these hospitals, the healthcare system in the U.S. would have collapsed. There are many anecdotal stories of individual Filipino nurses doing heroic acts, but this heroism has never been highlighted than during this time of the coronavirus pandemic. In the United States, where the count of COVID-positive cases has grown every day to reach about 32,600,000 cases nationwide currently, and over 1 million or 500,000 deaths. That is so overwhelming to comprehend. Thanks to the COVID vaccine, however, these infection rates and deaths are going down. But who are taking care of these sick patients? Frontline workers, primarily nurses and doctors. Healthcare facilities are staffed with a large percentage of foreign-born nurses, approximately 1/3 of whom are Filipinos. Because Filipino nurses work in high-risk areas, a disproportionate number of them are also affected by the virus. COVID-19 has also taken a devastating toll on Filipino nurses. According to a recent article, nearly 1/3 of nurses who have died of the coronavirus in the U.S. are Filipinos. This sobering data shows how vulnerable Filipino nurses are, and yet they continue to work in their hospitals. Not all of Filipino nurses, however, work at the bedside. There are many other specialties that nurses can go into in their professional career. Nursing offers a wide variety of career options, and I took the option of going into education as my specialty. I also want to point out the other contributions of Filipino nurses around the world. In pursuit of better economic opportunities, others went to different countries like the Middle East, the United Kingdom, Scandinavian countries, Australia, and other Asian countries. They too have helped alleviate the shortage of nurses in those countries. They are now called the modern heroes of the Philippines. Not only have they helped prop up the healthcare system in those countries, but they also help prop up the economy of the Philippines through their remittances. According to the Philippine government statistics, Filipino nurses working abroad remit about $1 billion or about 50 billion pesos in the Philippines every year, and that's a staggering amount. Finally, in our own state, California, a fifth of California nurses are Filipinos. To the Filipino nurses everywhere in the world, we salute you. You are our heroes. And this week is Nurses Week. We celebrate our hero nurses. Thank you so much.
I'm from Rojas City, Capiz, and that's in Panay Island, in the middle of the Philippines. It's in the Visayas region.
I was born in the Philippines, Angeles, Pampanga.
I was born and raised in Manila.
Oh, I am in the Ilocos region, the northern part of the Philippines. I was born there.
There are over 150,000 Filipino nurses working in the United States. Here they share their stories as immigrants, nurses, and union organizers.
We often think of Filipino nurses in the United States as a relatively new migration and a new immigrant group, but actually there's a much longer history that explains why so many Filipino nurses are in the United States.
The Philippine-American War at the turn of the 20th century lasted 3 years and killed an estimated 2 million Filipinos. The war was won by the Americans in 1902 and led to a U.S. government in the Philippine Islands.
And when the U.S. colonized the Philippines, they believed that they were bringing civilization to the archipelago. And in order to bring civilization, they also needed to bring Americanized education, and this included Americanized nursing training. Filipino nurse migrants comprise the largest group of foreign-trained nurses in the United States.
My parents are from Pampanga. When I was growing up and I was in high school, I look around and I said, we are poor. We live in a squatter. And I want to help them.
So my mom actually came, how they say, fresh off the boat. My mom came on a boat, and she was only 25 years old. All she had was a sack of rice and an address to go to an aunt of hers.
There are different reasons why Filipino nurses are here. For job opportunities, for career advancement, for personal growth, and due to political oppression back home. Most people actually are aware that Marcos is being supported by U.S. government. And during Marcos' regime, if you're not cronies of Marcos, they take away your opportunities. They take your lands, your businesses. If you speak against them, they will imprison you. You will rot in jail. So my family is a anti-Marcos. My father was a political advisor, and Marcos, who didn't want him to become that powerful in our province, Marcos basically came after him. So we needed to get out of the country.
In 1983, we moved here from Georgia to here in Vallejo, and I got a job as a rehab nurse. And I encourage my children, be a nurse, because it's a good benefits, it's a stable job, and it's a very rewarding feeling that you help people. This is my firstborn, Gina. She's an RN. Tony, also an RN, and James Michael Jr., also an RN.
No, I didn't have any qualms joining CNA. My mom was part of a union, and I saw her go to different actions and strikes. She took me to the strike line. My mom was like, the union's going to protect you. If you have a situation with the union, you feel the strength of many people.
And these are the future nurses.
I'd love to be a nurse. Filipino nurses are no strangers to racism. They deal with institutional discrimination, along with workplace prejudice and harassment from managers, co-workers, and employers.
When I first started here as a nurse, I was discriminated because of my color and my accent as well. They would laugh behind my back because my accent was different. At the time, they thought because I'm a small Filipino, and they thought that I will not open my mouth, I won't say something.
As a nurse organizer, I would hear from others. The Filipino nurses were all meek, quiet, stuck to themselves. You don't have to worry about them. You don't have to talk to them. It was the ultimate objectification of a human being. What I experienced was not meek, was not weak. It was the opposite. It was courageous, it was bold, and willing to take on a tough fight, even though they were at the effect of very racist attitudes.
And I said, you know what? I need to talk to you guys here. You need to listen to me. You need to know where I'm coming from. So I basically stood up for myself.
The turning point of my involvement was in 1990 when I was trying to move to another position. According to the job posting, I meet all the requirements. The manager of the post-anesthesia care unit, she says, I cannot hire another Filipino in the unit because there are too many Filipinos. And I was stunned. Discrimination, like in their face. Maybe she thought I would not fight back because I'm Filipino, but I have to win the fight in order to tell our fellow workers that this should not happen to anybody.
CNA has shaped me to really be a strong, independent, dignified, knowledgeable advocate, with a great, strong moral compass.
There is a misconception that Filipino nurses are hard to organize, but if you go to any strike or any action where Filipino nurses work, the majority of the people you'll see on the line are Filipinos, especially in my area. You just have to let them know what the issues are. They'll bring food and they'll bring a good attitude and music, and they make it a party sometimes.
So let me ask you this. Whose hospital? Our hospital. Whose patients? Our patients. Hopefully Kaiser's listening.
I've known Zenny for a long time, and she would speak to so many nurses, and she would know not only their work schedules, but their personal schedules, their husband's schedules, and she's driven to organize nurses because she understands how important it is to grow the union.
I am the first Filipino-American president elected for this union. I want to be an inspiration to all these young nurses and be there to fight for their rights and fight for our patients.
Nursing is not just at the bedside. Nursing is on the streets. Nursing is in the legislative branch. Nursing is in being a social advocate.
RNRN is a program that's from NNU, and they provide services and post-relief for it, be it Haiyan or versus Hurricane Katrina. Having done the mission to Typhoon Haiyan was probably one of the most rewarding experiences that I've ever done in my nursing career. Being an ambassador of my hospital and my union, it was profound.
And now that we're actually branching out as the Global Nurses United Union, we're working towards the best for the nurses and for the people of the world.
Our sister union in the Philippines has been recently titled a terrorist organization. To be labeled a terrorist organization is essentially designed to demobilize and silence your voice.
If we are classified as terrorists, it's just like justification if ever they would arrest us or kill us in any way they want, anywhere and anytime they want.
We have Ms. Zenny Cortez, President of National Nurses United USA.
I came here today because we were invited by Filipino Nurses United. On behalf of National Nurses United, the largest union of nurses in the United States, let me say it's a privilege to be here with all of you. As a registered nurse for 4 decades, and I know a lot of you were not born 40 years ago, right? So I can be your grandma. I am a proud trade union activist and leader, and as someone with deep roots here in the Philippines, I feel very honored and grateful for the opportunity to speak to all of you today.
We appreciate the GNU's efforts in reaching out to us, and we are inspired by the achievements and the work of our colleagues from other countries.
Whether we're in the US or in the Philippines or any part of the world, our issues and struggles are the same. And ultimately, we are here for our patients and we need to uplift our profession continuously.
We are globally united.
Filipino nurses and other foreign-trained health workers are very much the unsung heroes of healthcare delivery. And there are so many hospitals and healthcare institutions that would not be able to run as efficiently and effectively without the work of Filipino nurse migrants.
We have a lot of actually younger people, and some of them are just coming from the Philippines. I always tell them to be brave. Being in the union is power.
I do this work to promote our profession. I do this work because my daughter and my son are potential nurses. One of these days, I'm going to be a patient in that bed, and I want the nurses on the floors to have the tools and the staff they need to take care of me and my family.
30 years into my career, the rewarding thing is actually pulling it all together, the advocacy, and really feeling like you made an impact on someone's life.
I am there for the nurses, fighting for their rights. And, you know, when I go back to my bedside career, bedside practice, I'm there fighting for my patients.
Hi guys, my name is Ronaviv Garcia. I am a nurse leader. I got my nursing degree over at Sac State, my undergraduate, and then I went to University of San Francisco for my master's in nursing with the concentration in clinical nurse leader. I'm currently a nurse leader at Kaiser Permanente. I've been with Kaiser for going on 15 years, but I've been in healthcare for about 18 years now. So I currently oversee the continuity of care department, and I oversee a staff of about 70 employees. Most of them are nurses. RN case managers, or at Kaiser they're called patient care coordinators. I also have about 6 staff assistants. What my department does is they oversee discharge planning and case management needs. So if a patient were to come into the hospital, they need oxygen, my team would be the ones to set that up. Or if they need to go to like a skilled nursing facility, they would set that up as well. Well, when I was a case manager in the ED, the trauma center, I had a mom, I used to work night shift, and I had a mom come in with a newborn baby. It was about like not even 4 weeks old, barely a month old. And the baby had passed away at home. And it was really hard. I was actually pregnant at the time, and I was trying to hide my belly under my lab coat because, I don't want to upset the patient, or the mom, I should say. But it was really hard. She was grieving, bargaining. She's like, please, can you please do this and that to bring the baby back? And it was really hard to be with her. But it's really important as nurses and, healthcare professionals to be present and in the moment with your patient to help them get through and overcome whatever it is they're going through. And that's exactly what I had to do for that mom in the moment, to be empathetic, but also kind of like detached from it too. It's a weird thing to be in the moment like that, because you don't want to get too involved and have your own feelings really just mess it up, or just get in the way of delivering care. But you still want to be able to be empathetic and really display care and love and compassion for your patients. And that really is what nursing is about, I think. So, like I said, I oversee a department of about 70 employees. In the beginning, about 10 months ago, they were all super, super scared. So as a leader, for me, it's really, really important to inspire, motivate, and empower my team. With that said, a lot of them didn't want to go into the bedside. They were super scared. So I have to really prepare them and give them the tools they need to succeed. What does that mean? That means give them training to use PPE, give them training on how to use the mask, and just reinforcing how social distancing, washing hands, and how we stay safe at work and at home, so that we can care for each other, care for our loved ones, care for our patients. Another thing too is a lot of, now that COVID is so prevalent, I think we have like over 100 positive patients in our facility with COVID right now. But with that said, there's a strict no visitor policy. So it's really, really hard for our patients to really connect with family members, or they feel lonely. They've been there days and days and days, and they just can't get a hold. It's hard to. Sometimes the patients feel like, they don't want to bother anyone to make a phone call, or they just are so isolated. So an important thing for my staff, I have to really reinforce to them their role in this, and that they are the patient's advocate. So whatever they can do to connect with them one-on-one, arrange for a FaceTime with their family member so they can see their family members and just really be there for them. And really just listen. I did have, as an example, I had one of my staff members, again, the no visitor policy. So what my nurse would do, he would go out to the outside of the hospital, the circle, and he'd get the soup from the patient's daughter to bring to the patient. He would do that every day. And that, for me, was like a huge thing. I was like, oh my gosh, that's, no one asked him to do that. It's not in his job description. But as a nurse, he went out of his way to do that. And it was just, the right thing to do for that patient, and for the family member. The patient did transfer to another facility, to a lower level of care for some rehab. And he actually passed away at the other facility. But the family was so grateful to my staff member, and they wrote a nice letter to him and to the hospital, really just thanking him for his advocacy and for his compassion and for his help for their loved one. So that's really super special. Even just like the little things, you don't think it's like a big deal, but it really goes a long way. Really, it's all about right now with the COVID-19. I mean, like I said, we're seeing so many patients. There's a huge surge right now. Thankfully, with the vaccine, this is a light at the end of the tunnel. But, you know, we're all here. We're all united. We're here to help. We're here for our families. We're here for our patients. And, you know, we chose willingly to go into this profession to help you guys, to help others. And, yeah, that's it. So, peace.
Hi, my name is Donna. I am an ICU nurse. I've been working as a nurse for the last 13 years, ICU for the last 8. I am from San Antonio, Texas originally. Came here to California in 2016 as a travel nurse and eventually got a position at Kaiser Permanente. So as far as my experience during the COVID pandemic, there's quite a lot. There's too many to mention. But one of the most memorable one was when I took care of a father and a son. The son was 37 years old and the father was almost in his 60s. The son got his COVID from going out partying, went home with his family, got his mother and father infected, and they stayed in the ICU for 2 months, and they both passed. They both passed away of respiratory failure. So it was a very hard experience seeing family members not able to see, their family members getting sick, and at the same time us wanting to take care of them as much as possible, but at the same time we didn't have enough resources and time, because we've been having code at least 3-4 times out of a day, and everybody was busy taking care of everybody else, and it was just it's always been a busy day for all of us. But overall, we've been managing, and I just hope that we all learn from this experience and grow from it. Thank you.